Hey everyone, welcome to Dialogue Podcast, episode 109. This week we're going to be talking about the Penguin and James Gunn's DCU film verse that he's building for the next couple of years and what we think about the current shows that have been showing up. So let's get into the Penguin, guys.
Strangely, I like Penguin, and it was really good, compelling television. It wasn't the favorite thing I've seen this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like two or three on the list because there was a lot of predictability for me.
Oh yeah.
But I did thoroughly enjoy it. It took a little time to be able to sit down and get into it. And honestly, I'd hoped, even if they did, because there was like, well, Pattinson's Batman is going to be in it. I wouldn't have minded at least a mention. He didn't have to be in it, but there was absolutely zero mention of Batman in it at all. No Commissioner Gordon mentioned. You know, I would have loved a little tissue. I mean, I understand why they went with what they did and it worked, but just a little connectivity, just mentions of other stuff that could be coming or should be coming.
Hmm.
Give a little tease for the fact that the Batman movie's been moved back another year, for instance. That's the second one. You
I
know,
also, I also would have added like more world building stuff.
yes, exactly.
Because it had this whole thing where it felt like how um the first Spider-Man, Homecoming,
Yeah, okay, yes,
where like, you kind of got this feel of like this took place after the events of Avengers and like all the damage that was done in the city, the wrecking, the guys that came in to fix everything and it
damage
tied
control.
into that, but it didn't like uh I mean it did enough to like kind of world build.
Yeah, but it
Not
was very insular,
Yeah.
and Penguin were both very insular. Um, it's kind of like the Thor movie was for me. Okay, the Thor movie helped build the bigger picture,
Hmm.
and it was meant to be a stepping stone. But Penguin was a really good, solid stepping stone. I
Yes.
Like I said, I just wish that there had been, because the police that they mentioned and stuff like that were nothing. There was always these particular cops. There's no mention of Jim Gordon
No
anywhere.
Bullock. There was Bullock wasn't around.
You're like, okay, we know these people are out there and we know they're higher up, and yes, you're going after the corrupt ones and you're going after these specific ones, but there really should have been at least one tangent. I mean, other than because I had a friend who asked last week, what's good TV to watch? And I suggested Penguin. She
Hmm.
goes, I've never heard of that. And I had to explain to her, yeah, it's the Penguin from the Batman. It's a spin-off of the new Batman movie. And she's like, oh, that Penguin. I said, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's Colin Farrell. You'll never believe it, but
And
it's
I
Colin
love
I
his
Farrell.
know.
reaction
Yeah, yeah. You'll
when,
never believe it. It's crazy how
and I love his reaction when he got his Emmy.
oh yeah.
Prosthetics from here on out. And he was just like, you know what? If this is what it takes to get the job and this is what it takes to do the best I can, I'm with it. And he was 100% accepting of it. And he was like, yeah, okay, I did this. This is what it took. Let's move. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Because Penguin is still around, and they're taking real care not to kill anybody off that's, like they're killing off, obviously, they're killing off a bunch of characters in it. Spoiler alert, a lot of people die.
Hmm.
But
That was actually the thing that shocked me the most was the sheer number of people that died.
exactly.
Yeah.
The big episode where a certain thing happened, like a certain character gets a very specific type of revenge against a group of people. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you killed all of them.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
yeah. Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
yeah.
crap.
And there was a lot of, and it was, and it fit the story great. And the last episode was absolutely one of the few things I didn't predict.
Victor was a cool character.
Yes,
Um, I really wanted to see okay where his character went, but
exactly.
eh, it's like,
A
well,
lot of stuff just fell off the cliff.
Well, careful what you wish for, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I said, they did a lot of killing, but a couple of the main characters are still around, which is something that was refreshing to me because there's always this urge or this need or desire to kill the villains.
Mm-hmm.
And while a lot of people died and it made sense to the storyline and it was written beautifully, the people that should be moving forward into other aspects of this, it could be other spin-offs, it could be other movies, those people are still there. That's the only true world building for me that happened.
Yeah.
Okay. There was, like I said, I wanted that one piece of connective tissue, even if it was just a newspaper on a desk that says Batman does this, or Commissioner Gordon does this, or hey, here's Harvey Dent, the new guy, or whatever.
Yeah, the new district attorney coming in to
Like,
trying to clean up Gotham.
exactly. The reference to Clayface, because Clayface is becoming a very important character in multiple parts of the new DCU.
Well, that's the funny thing is that what I was reading, like you have to go look at the name of characters,
Yes.
but the woman who is the lady of the night that Penguin hangs out with, and at the
Yes.
end he's dancing with,
Mm-hmm.
her last name is Carlo, so
Yes.
that's a reference to Clayface. So she is in some relation to Basil, right?
Yeah.
So OG
The
Clayface, she's got
original
some tie to him.
Clayface.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
Maybe
is
she's his daughter, maybe a
mm-hmm.
brother, sister. That is potential connective tissue, but that's a deep cut.
Well, it is, and also it's one of the things too, if you think about it, the fact that she becomes the representation of his mother. And
Yes.
so like in a way, either he molded her to be that or she molded herself
She molded herself.
like Clayface would have done.
Yes,
Yeah,
she
but
played her
she
own game.
molded herself because of Oz.
Yeah, the
So
situation.
And
Yeah.
she
like
adapted
he's
to his
he's clear he was clearly like desiring that from her, and so based on that and that relate because that was what she said what back when Sophia encountered her, right? Where Sophia was asking her all those questions about like who she was to Oz, and one of the first things that she comes out is like, well, what me and Oz have is a little complicated,
Yeah.
yes.
right? So
Yeah.
So so she adapted to Oz's adaptation of what he perceived to happen. So it was a warped reality forming a warped reality to a stable reality.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it was like a Twilight Zone trip, or a wormhole or something, whatever. But the point is, she played her game separate to his game because she's no slouch.
Right.
They're both playing their games, and the game's cross hatched. And at the end, she got what she wanted out of it. He got what he wanted out of it. And they're both good with it because they understand the game. That's the way I
Um,
do it.
well, and then on top of that, because she was like kind of like the mistress of a group of working girls, there
Yes.
should be the
Exactly.
connection there with Selena Kyle in a way.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of hinted at that, but I was like,
well, the outright tie was when Selena wrote that note to Sophia, right? Because
Yeah.
technically they're related,
Mm-hmm.
right?
yes,
Because
right.
Selena, she's what the one of the kids of Falcone, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
what they
I think so.
established in
Yeah.
the
I think
Batman
so.
movie?
Yeah.
Right. Again, but
So
that's a deep cut. It wasn't
yeah,
clear.
but I mean that's fine, right? I mean
I
that
mean,
that makes it a
I
little bit
mean,
more fun to chase down.
it does. And for the deep cut stuff, for the true fans, the true geeks and nerds, they're able to connect these dots and redboard it and yarn and all that crap. I would have liked one, just one face level thread. And like I said, it could have been as simple as a TV report or a newspaper or something. I mean, yes, the only connective
Well,
tissue.
you
I
got
know
a
where you're
big you
going
got
with
a
this.
big bright light at the very end.
Yeah,
Yes, we did get.
the connective tissue for me was the recall to the day all the explosions happened and the city got flooded.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
That
of
was
course.
that was past tense reference, and
Hmm.
that was connective tissue. But the way they structured it felt a little off.
Right. There was times where I wasn't sure what timeline they were in because they were
Exactly.
jumping around with certain points, especially the moment where he goes back home and he sees his family just where
Yes.
everything happens. And it's like, is this taking place
Now
during
or
what's
then.
going on or before? Um,
Yes.
there was,
Exactly.
it definitely when like you watched Lost, you know, you definitely knew when they were flashing back or flashing forward with certain things.
Right.
Um, but with this, it was kind of weird. Um, I
Quick
do think,
sidebar. They're
yeah,
talking about resurrecting Lost with a new thing.
I did see that. I'm interested. I mean, there's tons of stuff they could do because they left it open where,
Right. But
Mike,
we'll bounce back to that later.
yeah, yeah. Um, but I would have liked to have seen like other things because not just because of like we got a lot of the mafia stuff, the drug things
Yeah,
going on, but there should have been other crimes going on. Um,
exactly. There's, a lot of, there should have been a crazy amount of looting. The only reference to like a looting that would have been clearly obvious in a situation like this was scavenging.
mhm.
Well, that's what they were doing, right?
Yeah, but thing
That
is,
was whenever Vic was taking Oz's mom back to his family home. You
yes,
saw the gangs in the area scavenging everything,
thing
tearing
is
everything
that wasn't
apart, taking
really
all that.
looting, that was scavenging.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they did whatever they could to survive with what was left because
Right,
so many people had empty apartments. Of course, they didn't make it. Things would have been available for them. It's like, if
but
what we see in
I
a
mean, also
a
the areas.
TV
Sorry,
show
man.
or movies. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, also the area flooded, right? So a lot of the
right.
stuff that you would be looting is been destroyed because of
Well,
the flood. All that stuff is destroyed a lot of that area. So
with
it's
the
less
exception
it's
of
less an open area to go looting for, and more of, hey, we need to find what we can get to get by.
right, which is what the salvaging, foraging thing is. But there were a lot of stores that had registers with money and safes and stuff like that. There was, there's other means of currency in a situation like that. If shows like Fallout and anything like to show us that, there are certain levels of currency that are accepted, and they really didn't go into that a lot. Like Penguin was throwing around a lot of money because he had it. What about these other people? Yeah, yes, they went looting and they went foraging and they were able to scrounge together their existence, but at some point they needed to be able to go and get certain things, which went out like you said, when he took Oz's mom home, they still had a hierarchy system and there was still bartering and things like that. And they really didn't kind of explain that at all to me. It was just assumed, okay, they're figuring it out, they're stealing from each other, they're surviving. Yeah, okay, that makes sense, but it was missing something, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
Well, just something to point back at what Dave was saying that even though the water like destroyed part of that area, there
Yeah,
still would have been buildings like a whole apartment complexes that were like taller than the water flow.
exactly.
That would have still
Yeah,
had things inside of it that would have survived because it would have been above the water level.
Which is what the
Uh,
apartment was at the end.
yeah, yeah, the one he was. Mhm.
Yeah, it was like the second or third floor, so it was intact. It was above the water level for that area, which made a lot of sense. And and eventually when they got the power back and going because of the new hierarchy system that Penguin helped put in place, and Vic and everything like that, they brought the power back and everything, which was really cool. Because that shows, to me, that showed Penguin actually cared about something, but what he cared for was very minute. It was like his mom, maybe helping people out who did, he felt deserved his help, and then I can't remember her name at the moment. At the end there, whatever.
I
There were
mean,
very few things he
but
truly cared about, and
but
he
see,
wanted to look like that monster he idolized that he talked about.
no, see, but see, that's the funny thing, and that's why I really love this show is because the character of Oz in this show is so weirdly layered.
Yes,
Because I think that Oz on one he that's the story he tells himself, right? That what Falcone tells him in the very beginning of that first episode when he looks at him and says, "Oh, this is what you want," all that stuff, and he starts laughing at him, right? Like
yes,
that's true, but the problem is that Oz also knows that's not who he is, right? It's he all of Oz's world is this constructed fiction around him. So Oz doesn't like that's the whole point of the show all the way to the end. Oz cares about no one except for himself. Everything that he does is self-serving. Every person that he helps is for his betterment. All of it. Every last action he takes is selfish all the way through. He does not hand out anything if it is not the possibility to pay him back in the end. And like that was what I really enjoyed about the show was because towards the end, I started getting drawn into the idea of, oh, Oz ain't that bad of a guy, even though every episode it would remind you
Yeah, he
over and
reminded you
over
how
again,
bad he is.
That guy.
no, he's a horrible person. Like you can make up all the excuses and you can give him all the slack that you want, but at the end of the day, he's a awful person. And then
Right.
at the end of the show, he proves all of that to you 100%. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I
Okay.
got it now. My bad. I should never have trusted this guy.
One
But
is the last shred of true. I mean, the last shred of humanity that he had was gone when his mom died, and then everything, all that realization of things, and that's what probably tipped him over to the moment of doing what he
But
does to Victor.
but see, that's the thing is I don't even think he had humanity in that moment because they were threatening to do some awful things to his mother.
he was like,
All he
fine.
had to do was admit one thing
Yeah,
and he would not do it.
do it
I
right.
think I think Oz is just from jump a sociopath, a complete
Absolutely.
and utter. He's a complete psychopath, and there's just no humanity in him from the beginning, from jump, and it's such a weird thing. And I don't know.
Right.
He's
Well, when the revelation of what happens
oh, to his
to his brothers, that
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah
that solidifies everything. But you don't get that point until
Halfway
you know,
through.
and it's like that's what kind of should have been the mess, the thing that people when they watch this realize that the person he was and the links he'll go through for himself.
yeah. But I mean the show shows you that,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're paying attention, if you're not just like letting the show run in the background, if you're actually watching it and paying attention, like I said, at the end of every episode, once you got to the end of it and you started to realize, along with the other characters, right? So depending on what character you focused on more and which character you felt more invested in, you would have that realization sooner, right? Like if you were really invested in Sophia, you came to that realization whenever they're both kneeling down in front of that one family and they're about to get, blasted before Vic shows up, right? And Sophia's looking at Oz, who was just super friendly with her, not but 2 seconds later, and now he is lying his
Yeah.
ass off, doing everything he can to
Yeah.
get out of this jam and sell her down the river.
Yep.
It's those little moments that you realize, oh, he doesn't care about anybody.
Nope.
Now I'm gonna
Anybody.
contest that just a little. I wish I could remember her name, the madam.
What about her?
I think he genuinely cares for her. He's just not going to admit it, and he will bury it as deep as he possibly can.
I think no. See,
I
again, I think the only reason why he cares about her is because she can mimic a
Well,
a time in his life that reflects a
his mom.
vision of his mother that he desires.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That there is no actual love that he feels for her other than what she can give back to him.
It's kind of like the kingpin with his wife, the thing of like that's his weakness. So,
yeah,
he lost
that,
his mom. He lost the person that was he was hiding from everyone. And now he's replaced her, but now he's in a different situation. So I'm pretty sure he'll guard her as much as like a prized possession
exactly.
to,
Well, I mean, his mom. No, he's still got his mom. His mom's in a catatonic state, but she's there, so
No,
he'll continue guarding her,
I
and
couldn't
he'll probably still try and protect the madam. But
I thought she was called
hmm,
after the incident in the bar, after the shootout and everything. I thought she was gone.
who was Oz's mom?
Oz's mom. I thought she was gone.
No, at the very end of the show, before he goes out and
Oh,
dances
that's
with the
right. She was in
madam,
the room with
he's
the.
got her hooked up to the
That's
medical
right.
bed and he's talking to her. And she's in a complete vegetative state.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I completely
And,
forgot
and
that.
that's where he's breaking down and crying and like saying, how it's unfair and how just tell me that, you're proud of me, just
And
say
she
it that
wasn't.
all of that moment. And then he leaves, goes and gets with what's her name,
Yeah,
and then he gets her to recite all the things that he wants to hear,
yep.
right.
right? So again, he is a complete and utter nut job. And I again, to me, in the beginning of the show, I was with you guys 100%. I was like, no. There's a scrap of humanity in him, and it's his mom. But by the time we get to the end of the show, I'm of the opinion there is no humanity.
Yeah,
And
he
it's
was
not
already
just the
gone.
loss. It's not just the loss of his mom. It's him. I don't know what it is about him, but
He
from
was
the second we
heartbroken.
see him, there is nothing there. There is nothing in
Yeah.
him.
I
He
mean, we
is
saw
just
that with Vic.
he is a black void of a person.
Right.
And that's what's so great, right? Because again, who you're invested in. If you invest in Vic early on, dude, I'm sorry. But because if you're following along with Vic, right, you can get sucked into the idea that no, once Oz turns all this around, we're gonna be good, right? Man, it's gonna be great. We're gonna be living on easy street. Oz is gonna be doing all these great things, yada yada yada. And then you realize, no, 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 that's not his plan at all. That's not what this is about. This is a completely different thing, and you're getting sold up the river. You should have let him shoot you,
Well, it's it's
whenever
the
y'all first
whole
met each
what's the
other.
parable about the like the what the hare and the crocodile or whatever. It's like when
Oh no, you're talking about the scorpion and the toad and
yeah,
how it
yeah,
stings it as it's going across the
Yeah.
river. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly what Oz does. Except Oz makes sure he makes he's close enough to the shore that he can get there. Right? Then he'll sting
Yeah.
you.
yeah,
Just so that he knows he can get there. And then he'll let you drift on down the river and get a little crocodile tear, and then he'll go about his little scorpion business.
yeah.
That's fair.
No,
That's
but I mean, it was definitely good TV. I mean, this was like definitely something where you could tell that they wrote the show to be an R rating, or they didn't have a rating in mind. They just
wrote it.
wrote it and then didn't care about like any aspects that would have to be downgraded because of the audience that could be watching it. It was raw. It felt like you were reading a Detective Comics, at least from the modern, 90s,
Yeah.
80s, 90s era. Even like,
It
well,
was
I'd even say like the Greg Capello stuff whenever the Doom 52, some of that stuff with the Court of Owls was pretty dark. Um, but I mean, it's definitely a breath of fresh air compared to like other things that we had gotten.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely the best like of the comic book and just kind of like uh wider known like nerd culture shows. This was one of those like diamonds in the like no one cared about that. Like, it was funny because all the people that started finally reviewing this only started reviewing it like 2 weeks after it finished, right? That's when you started seeing like the Jeremy Johnses of the world all of a sudden throw up their Penguin reviews because no one cared about this show. And then about halfway through, everybody started realizing, oh crap, this is
Really
actually
good shit. Yeah.
good. This is really, really good. And then you got to the end of it, and then everybody started talking about it, and it became this thing because yeah, man, it was fantastic. I was really pleasantly surprised with how much quality went into that show. I mean, just writing every character was so well written, so well fleshed out. You had so much reason to invest in every single character all the way through the show. Even whenever they screwed up, even whenever they did awful things, like you felt it, right? Like when
Yeah.
Vic got in that when Vic finally pulled the trigger on that one guy, right? You felt Vic in that moment. Whenever Sophia is sitting there struggling with all of her choices and going through all the stuff that she's going through, you're feeling it. And man, I need to find. I keep meaning I've looked up this actress's name, and I keep forgetting her name. I need to go look it up and see what else she's been in because man, she was
Oh, I
awesome in
did
this
that,
show.
and then
he was really
I,
Like
good.
she's
He
got
was
like
very, very pretty.
from the second she shows up on screen, she just hurt like she just carries a
oh,
presence to her that was awesome.
When you look at like when she's looking at a character, just like when you see her face, it's like you can just see the emotion and what she's portraying of this character, especially what she went through. And um, yeah, it was really good with her. And I mean, every character in this film, or this film, but the show was great. Um,
so let me ask you about the whole Hangman sub story. What'd you think of that? For me, it was hit or miss. It was just, yeah, it was to help establish certain events and certain things, but I felt they could have streamlined that a little bit. I
I
mean,
mean, it
to
was
show that Carmine was actually this, rather than make him a low key serial killer and then showing her because he didn't want to be exposed. It felt extraneous, I guess would be a word to put it. I mean, it was a good storyline, don't get me wrong, and it helped to give her, a certain reputation to help establish her character as being
I mean, that was
unhinged.
all of her motivation, right? That was all her
Exactly.
that without that storyline, she doesn't go to Arkham. You don't have the mushrooms. You like the almost the entire second half of the show
And that's
and
fair, but
is gone.
it just seemed to me they could have trimmed that a little bit. I mean, yeah, they played it. It just some of it felt like it was played out a little too much. I mean, I like the idea of the arc of it and making Carmine more dangerous than he was, but it seemed like he was stretched out a little too much. They could have condensed it, in my opinion, a little bit and help keep the storyline. I don't know. For me, watching that part of it was just like, oh, man, I
Well,
know this part. I know
the episodes were kind of inconsistent as far as length goes. So, I mean, I could
that. Yeah,
understand maybe if you
and
wanted
the time
to
jump stuff.
refine it
Yeah,
to where they're like an hour long episodes instead of like one 60 minutes and others almost
Guys, we suffered through what was it, Mandalorian season 3, where
oh
you'd have like one episode that was like 20 minutes and then one episode that was like 50 minutes, and it was like,
well
what are
this
we
this
doing
is
here?
this is
What what's
that's Disney. We're talking about HBO, which they kind of know what they're doing as far as
Yeah.
um
yeah.
with show structure. Um, but maybe that could have been the thing. Maybe this was meant to be written as a 10 episode series, but then got
Yeah, that's
truncated into
true.
8, and then they gave them the leeway to extend out the storyline a little bit on some of the episodes. They can make it fit, because if you would have cut certain things, it wouldn't have flown better. But maybe had they had the length to be able to extend another 2 episodes, you could have had
You know
like
what?
more characters from Gotham showing up. Maybe you could have related it to Zaz or something. Um,
Yeah.
maybe more time with her in Arkham and dealing with maybe because like the Joker technically would have been there.
No, no, get that word out your mouth. Leave the Joker out of this. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear him. I don't give a shit about him. Don't put the
Yeah.
Joker anywhere near this. Yo, we already got the
We'll
stupid
just
hint
call
of
him
him
Barry. How's
in the
that?
Batman.
We'll call
Leave
him
him
Barry.
alone, guys.
Hey,
We
wait,
don't
wait,
need the
that
Joker.
was a deleted scene. So
Clayface,
I
That
Clayface,
know,
was a
I want
deleted
Clay.
scene.
Chant it with me, Clayface.
dude, I want Clayface, especially that who we got playing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And there's talk of Mr. Freeze for the next Batman as well, which is why they delayed it another year because they want to be able to get all of the VFX right for both characters, which would be great. But the idea of having to go with a sequel with two villains, that's played out. So
I
I,
mean, I don't
I
know. I
want to
don't know
wait
how
and
you're
see
going
where
to
they go with
balance
it.
that, but
I want to see where they go with it.
no,
I'm going to reserve judgment until there's some actual confirmation.
right. Well,
I don't want to sit there and listen to, well, maybe this Batman is going to be the Batman, and everybody's saying maybe he is, shut up. Either he is or he isn't. Okay, they showed Batman, whoever Batman's supposed to be, in friggin' Suicide Squad or Creature Commanders or whatever. Who is supposed to be, but he's supposed to be bulky. Not the same Batman. Move on.
well, hey, maybe he is because technically, if in a way that could be year 4 of Batman, where this Batman is year 2. Because he wasn't year 1.
Okay,
Um,
yeah. Well,
and it sucks because you've established this like great Penguin. You're about to bring in like the Clayface and Mr. Freeze. You might as well just put him part of this universe and have Pattinson go in, hit the gym, to build muscle, to look the part.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's the one. That's another complaint I have about Batman stuff. Michael Keaton's Batman, perfect. Okay,
hmm.
even Adam West Batman, okay. Ben Affleck's Batman looked great visually, and he did okay as the Batman. I think that's too much more Frank Miller. I think Batman doesn't need to be bulky because
No,
he's trim. He's the ultimate athlete. He's trim. He's muscular. He can do what he has to do.
he is
I think
constantly
that's
out and about doing things. He would be burning so much calorie. Like he'd be
exactly.
eating and eating, couldn't be able to sustain the amount of like activity he does every night with the less sleep that he does.
Right.
Um,
He occasionally takes something. It's like a caffeine stimulant or something. But the point is, he doesn't need to be as bulky as they made him in that one 10-second shot in Creature.
right. No, you're right. Because I mean that was the thing is we should have gotten I mean we should have
I mean,
actually
they have
gotten
done
an
more of an
official
outline.
Affleck movie as Batman. Because I felt like he had the look of Batman, but I felt his Bruce Wayne was a little bit better. But we didn't get enough time with either version of him.
Right. We didn't get enough time to flesh it out. Now, honestly, I like Pattinson in the role. I admit I was skeptical, but after seeing the Batman movie, I will sit down and watch it anytime. I will put it up against Michael Keaton's Batman any day. And if they made him the official Batman of the new Justice League universe, I'd be fine with that. He wouldn't have to build up. I mean, he could build up a little bit of muscle, but I still want my Batman in my head. Yeah, he's muscular, he's solid, but he's trim because he's the Batman. You can't have this lumbering Hulk in a cape running around being all ninja and stealthy, like, because it just doesn't make sense.
Well, and on top of that, you think about the fact that the Superman movie, with everything that we've seen for the teaser trailer,
Yeah,
not the full story or just a regular trailer, um, this is supposed to be like what, year three for Superman?
so it's
So
established.
if that's right, and you have Pattinson as year two with his movie, when he does get introduced, it would be year three or four for him.
So yeah, he would his costume would be a little more developed.
Yeah, he would have more.
Finances would be a little more developed. His everything would be more because he would say over that time, Batman always like, okay, this worked, this didn't. Let's move this, let's shift this. So by the time Brave and the Bold comes out, if Pattinson is Batman, he'll be that more experienced because technically it was him, then Superman, then Wonder Woman in the storyline.
Mhm.
In the way the reconstruct of it all went. So again, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I would love to see it tweaked a little. Just the costume works great, okay, for the Batman. I want to see something a little different to fit the bigger picture.
Yeah, I would want to see him slowly don the costume that he eventually has, um, or
I mean,
close to something.
again, going back to the Michael Keaton Batman, the black suit that was padded armor worked. Pattinson's suit works because it's padded. The bat logo is a part of a weapon. Everything in there has a function. That makes perfect sense to me. Let's just expand the color palette just a little because I think the solid black for everything is played out.
Oh yeah,
I
I'd love to see the
gray.
blue and gray or
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the Adam West Batman logo, but let's expand the color palette just a little.
mhm.
Because the black I think is played out, but otherwise I think it'd be a good fit because it would add the grittiness of what they've established with this new Batman, which harkens all the way back to the older stuff, the Michael Keaton stuff. The stuff, okay, there's grit. There's, Gotham City is grittier. Superman, Metropolis, bright and shiny. Everybody gets a rainbow and a light pop up on them entry. You know, here, welcome to Gotham. Here's your gruel. Deal with it. That is all nicely established. Having the Penguin be a part of that, nicely established. It's the underbelly of everything. There's going to be that little thing in there that makes you go, yeah. And then just have that Batman versus the Corn Sweep Batman or Superman, which I happen to really like so far from that trailer. I'm really excited to see the Superman. And seeing as how they're using the logo and everything from other stuff, yeah, keep the Pattinson Batman idea. Just, every movie gets an updated costume anyway, so it's going to happen. Beyond that, I have no problems with it.
Yeah, because I mean, like, how old is Pattinson?
Hey, Google, how old is Robert Pattinson?
Robert Pattinson is 38 years old.
Uh,
Bit.
he's pushing it. The thing
Well,
is, he
but
is trim. He is fit for his age.
right, and think about it. Like he's at perfect age. If like they can get two more movies in, right?
Right.
We could probably introduce a Robin, a Dick Grayson, and a younger.
Which is what Brave and the Bold is supposed to do, and the Nightwing
Mhm.
slash Red Hood movie.
Yeah.
Animated.
Um. But yeah, no, I know that was it Adrian Pierce or what is it, the guy who's playing uh John Stewart?
Oh,
I can't think I remember his
David, that would be your department.
oh, I told you before. I don't believe that show is happening until I see credits from the first episode. So
Come on,
actors,
they've got
story
actors,
They've
got
already got actors for Hal
they got a
does
script.
it?
Nathan
I don't
Fillion.
care. No,
Nathan
Nathan, no.
Fillion is John Stewart, or what's his
Guy
motherfucker?
Gardner.
Guy Gardner.
Thank
Guy
He is
you.
Gardner.
Guy
With the
Gardner.
look that
No, no,
everybody
no.
can't
He's
figure out who he looks
The
like.
funky bowl cut.
Yeah.
He's Fester Adams with
Mr.
the Green Lantern ring. Um,
And what's his face there from Morning Edition? Kyle Chandler. He's Hal Stewart, which isn't a bad choice, by the way.
how
You say
Jordan?
Hal
Aged
Stewart?
enough.
How Jordan?
Hal Stewart. I'm sorry. You know
You're
what?
you're fusing together. They did the fusion dance,
That's right.
Hey,
They just
and
messed
they
it
know
have
up, so
what?
he's
two
fat
Green
now.
Lantern rings.
I have the image of that happening a lot with different characters. Fusion, huh? And there's an exercise studio here in town that has that as their banner above their door.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Just two guys like this.
Yeah, it's got Goku and Goten, or just pure Gotens and Trunks getting ready to do the fusion thing. Big, huge thing over their door. That's awesome.
Um,
But no, Kyle Chandler and what's his face there for John Stewart? I need to really bone up on the guy's name.
I think it's
He's
eight
actually got a few decent
years, right?
credits. He's got a few decent credits. I looked him up.
Well, yeah, he was in that movie on Rebel Ridge. That dude was
Yes,
I just looked it up. His name is Aaron Pierce. You had it
Aaron
right the
Pierce.
first time.
Aaron Pierce, not Adrian.
he's got the look for John Stewart, as according to the
Yes,
original Justice League Unlimited or
yeah.
Justice League cartoon. He is a dead ringer for that John Stewart, and I'm like, that nailed it. James Gunn definitely did his homework.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah, I think that works, and I am really looking forward to that. And I do think it's going to happen, even though David, Mr.
look,
Monopoly,
David has to be.
Look,
I can't
he has to have it on
invest my
DVD in his
enthusiasm
hands and go, I
on
believe it.
this.
guys, how long have they been talking about doing a Lantern TV show? Right? Like HBO has had a Lantern TV show on the books being written for like a decade now, is what it feels like. And so, yeah, hey, guys, we're doing Green Lanterns. It's like, oh, okay, cool, that's great. And then we got that Ryan Reynolds movie with the giant poop monster, and yeah, I
No,
love
no. Deadpool fixed that.
No, yeah, I got that, but we still live in the timeline where that happened. Okay,
Yeah, so fortunately, yeah, he hasn't breaking it forth into our dimension to fix that.
right, yeah, he didn't
No.
fix that part. No, I know he went and he shot himself reading the script, but that wasn't our timeline. Our timeline still has that movie occurring. So yeah, that awful iteration of Hector Hammond and all of that. So that's what I have so far. Right? The best Green Lantern I can possibly get is all the animated stuff because they actually do him justice. In most, not the last Green Lantern movie. I don't want to talk about that one again. But all the other animated Green Lantern stuff before the Tomorrowverse, fantastic. Justice League Doom, go watch that. Go watch
Yes, okay. Yes.
Emerald Knights, go watch First Flight, all that stuff, fantastic. But yeah, so it's hard for me to get excited when every time I see a live action iteration of my favorite character, it's done very poorly, or he's got an off just why Nathan Fillion did they cast you as Guy Gardner, and why did they give you that hair of all things? Jesus. I mean, look, outside of that
Fester Adams,
stupid,
man. I'm telling you, Fester
outside of that stupid hair, Nate Fillion is kind of carrying himself as Guy, right? Like the look, the just smug, like I'm taking care of business because, like, yeah, okay, cool. I can see Guy doing that, but God Almighty, man, it looks so awkward but we'll see how it plays out in the live action. I'm looking forward to that movie. I have a lot of reservations. I don't know how you're going to balance like what half a dozen villains, half a dozen heroes, all this crap while you're trying to establish this brand new universe with this brand new Superman, all this nonsense. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you balance
I'm
that.
sorry, gets the Yamcha death pose in the
Yeah, that's
trailer.
how we open up, right?
Yeah,
Which I wonder who even did that. Was that Ultraman? Was it like
yeah. I don't
who
know.
punched him all the way back to, the
The arc.
Fortress of Solitude?
Solitude.
Yeah. It's
No,
like, good Lord.
it was
Okay.
it was Brawley. They remember they went back to the Arctic and
Oh, that's right. He's training with Broly and Goku and Vegeta. That's right.
The
uh,
cross genre episode you never knew.
crossover. Yeah, yeah. No, but
I need to go back and watch that movie, man. That fight is so well animated.
oh,
Oh my
dude, it's
God.
fucking great, man. But no,
I was,
I wonder. See, like that's my problem too. Is like we have not had a great film accurate or comic accurate Flash on the big screen. We had Bart Allen pretending to be Barry Allen and betrayed by an idiot. So we I need a real like Barry. I want or Wally. Well, since they're doing this, it'll have to be Barry. But I want to, blonde haired, green eyed Barry.
I mean,
Who's
we do have Grant Gustin, but they never made him blonde.
no.
I will give Grant Gustin this. He tried.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love
And
the
he
show.
pulled the plug when he realized it was not sustainable anymore. He did dedication to the character.
Yeah,
But as far as like a cinematic universe goes, you're right. We still need that Flash. We still need that Barry Allen, and we still need that Wally West.
yeah. I want the detective. The forensic
Cop,
scientist.
the thinker,
Cop, yeah, the
brain.
cop, Barry. You
Yes.
shit. Get freaking what's his name? Can't remember.
What was he in?
Uh, he did the voice for him in Justice League, but he was also Lex
Michael
Luthor.
Rosenbaum?
Yeah, Michael Roosevelt. Just get him to do.
That's not a
I
bad idea.
You
No.
know what?
That's
I will
not a bad.
say one of the greatest actually he has suited up as Flash. Did you
Really?
notice? Yeah.
No.
He has suited up as live action Flash.
Where?
There was a hilarious series of YouTube shorts done back in the day by the guy who voiced Superman in the
Oh yeah,
animated
Tim Day
Justice League
or
stuff.
whoever.
Yeah, Tim Daly and it was called The Daily Show, but he spells his name differently, right? So it's
Yeah.
Daly, and it was him and his son. And there's a moment where his son is talking, and he's like, "Oh, my dad's doing it again." And he's like, my dad voiced Superman. So every once in a while, he goes into this state where he believes himself to be Superman. And so then it super cuts to showing Tim Daly like going around the house, and he's got like the freezer open, and he's blowing into it, and he shuts the thing, and he goes, "Success." And his son walks up, and he goes, "What did you just do?" He's like, "Everything in here is now frozen," right? And just little stuff like that. So his son is going around trying to get different people to help him break his dad out of him being Superman. So he calls up uh Michael Rosenbaum, and he goes in there, but he like puts on Flash underwear and pretends to be Flash. So they're like pretending to be superheroes while they're playing inside this bedroom. And then Nathan Fillion shows up, and his son feels like he's gotten through to him. But then he looks down on the table and realizes that Nathan Fillion has a wallet that has the Green Lantern symbol on it because he voiced Hal Jordan in one of the animated movies.
Yeah.
So then he just opens the door, and he sees all three of them dressed up as the superheroes, just playing out being the heroes. It's
We gotta find a
hilarious.
screenshot of that.
Yeah, I'll do
Is it
that.
possible we can share that on this? Do you
Yeah, I will.
think?
I'll put it up somewhere in here.
Find that screenshot. We
Yeah.
gotta put that up. I have yet to see that.
Um,
I
All,
gotta see that. Oh
dude,
my!
all the Daily Show. Well, I don't know how long they went on with it. I watched I think they did like two or three quote unquote seasons of
I
it,
don't
but
care. I just want that one.
those first couple ones were, oh my goodness. The Tay, who was it? It was Tay Diggs, I think they did one of.
did they
That one was hilarious.
Kevin Conroy showed up on one of them, I believe, too.
Yeah, no, they Kevin Conroy was in it. They did one where it was all the guys who played Superman at that point, which was Daily Welling and oh God, the guy who was in Returns,
Oh, Brandon Routh.
Ralph.
Ralph, yeah.
Yeah. They had all three of them show up, right? And oh man, it was I need to go back and rewatch those videos. Those were so funny.
What could have been, right? But
All
yeah,
right.
I haven't. I've only watched the first two episodes of Creature Commandos, but it looked great from what I've watched.
Yeah, same. And
So,
apparently it's done now. Apparently
mhm.
the last episode just premiered. So now I got to go up and binge that.
So that'll definitely be something we probably review. Uh,
Yeah, but I did thoroughly enjoy the first two episodes. I mean, they held nothing back.
mm.
I mean, they what they wanted to show, what they wanted to go across, they did. And
It felt very much like if Hellboy would have gotten a TV show,
yes,
like his group and Mike Mignogna
yeah,
came on and was doing stuff. That's kind of how I feel what I should have been, or at least that's what I felt, or at least I got the feeling of.
well done, David. Well done.
You're welcome.
Watch that. I will watch that later. Absolutely. I gave you two skulls.
Very nice. Totally worth it. But yeah, I haven't watched all of Creature Commandos, but I mean, it's entertaining. There's little things about it that it's, and that's another thing that kind of worries me a little bit about Superman is that I'm one of the weird people that I'm not a huge fan of Gunn's style, and I've had that issue since Guardians, right? Everyone came out of Guardians of the Galaxy like this is the greatest superhero movie ever, and then every Marvel movie turned into that formula.
Yeah.
And I came out of the first Guardians and I was like, I don't actually know if I like that movie. And it was the weirdest because up to that point, man, I was like on board all the superhero movies. I was going and watching all of them, right? I think the only one that put me to sleep was Thor: Dark World, but that was a different thing. But everything else, man, I was 100%. And then Guardians came out, and I was like, I don't know that I like that movie. And then every movie I've seen that Gunn has directed, like his writing, I'm fine with because like I've watched what is it, Slither and I forget. He's written a bunch of movies, and I've
Yeah,
watched stuff that he's written and I'm fine with that. It's something about whenever he's directing that there's something about his style that kind of grates on me a little bit. And
I
so
don't know.
Commandos has a little bit of that, but there's enough entertainment there that I'm able to just kind of enjoy it and not
Yeah,
like sit there and nitpick the shit out of it.
right. For me, I get that. And there's a lot of consistency in the mediocrity, if you will. And I'm okay with that. It's the fact that he has to put himself in all of his movies. That's what kills me.
Man, I can deal with that. It's
I mean,
for
he's
for
not
me,
Edward.
it's honestly it's the weird use of humor in some of this stuff.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
like some of it's fine, some of it's fine, but then sometimes jokes drag on just a little too long,
yeah, okay,
or
yes,
or they're just randomly in places that I'm like, did we really need that there? Was that necessary? I don't know
absolutely,
that it was. Like sometimes, like, less is more kind of deal, but
exactly, right.
Well, I mean, so I've overall enjoyed, the Guardians movies a lot, but I I don't know how he's going to go with this for the DCU, what the new universe is.
yeah.
Um, because
This
some
is
of his choices have been really cool, some of his choices have been questionable.
yes,
Like of course, Guy Gardner. I mean, I know Nathan Fillion's going to deliver, but
Yeah.
there should have been some Q quality testing for like the way he looks, with that hair. I feel like there's moments with the guy they cast for Superman. He looks like Corky Romano, and I feel like he's gonna go to the club and start dancing as Superman.
I
all right.
mean, he does, right? There's the giant ball in the background that's flashing, right? While him and Lois are getting it on.
I still say this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still say this. Okay, I will
Yeah.
agree with those things, but I think that this movie is meant to be an anchor slash bridge movie.
Oh, definitely.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I think that costumes and characters are going to get tweaked from this, and how they're going to tie in Creature Commandos and everything else to it. I think this is just a starting point, knowing okay, this is our proving ground. Creature Commandos hit us first. I like what I'm seeing so far. I'm with you. I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I've been reading snippets of stuff so that I don't get spoilers of the remaining episodes. And I got to sit down once I have time. My whole work schedule is about to adjust in a month, so I'm going to have weird, different free time. And Thursdays is going to become super available. So I will sit down and watch rest of Creature Commandos because I am invested in that. I want it. I think he can do cast ensembles, which is his strong point. And I do agree that the jokes randomly inserted are useless. Okay,
Well,
I do 100% agree with that. But I think they're done because of filler. I think that they're used to pad time or to help create moment to moment. They're bridge moments. It's like, oh, what can I do here? Blah blah blah. Boom, done. Moving on.
I also think that like the biggest strength is going to be able to see him write a film about one character that doesn't have guest appearances from others. Um,
Okay.
like the ensemble cast kind of thing.
Yes.
well, what movie are you talking about?
Well, no, I
Because Superman has an ensemble
No,
cast
no, I mean
because
that's what I'm like. That's what we need to find out.
oh
Like we
yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah.
see him do a film that doesn't have like we need a character driven film that is just that character. Like
Yeah.
right.
with the the Green Lantern show, it's multiple Green Lanterns, which is what it should be, right? You want the core.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like with like a Flash film, you want it just to be Barry, him dealing with his day-to-day life, being a metahuman on the ground level, even though he has the ability to be like Shiv Z in a moment,
Yeah.
depending
I
on
mean,
whatever.
he's one of the big leaguers, but you want to see how he deals with it on his level. And
Hmm.
I absolutely agree with that. When they do Batman, starting off with Brave and the Bold, maybe not the greatest plan. But like you said, we're at year 3, year 4. It's already supposed to be pre-established. He doesn't want to do origin stories unless it's
Right, which is perfect, which is technically right up what David's been saying. He doesn't want to do any more movies about origins. Just put these heroes out there as
Yeah.
if they
I
existed and then go from
who
there.
who needs to see Krypton blow up again? Right?
exactly.
Like, who needs to see Krypton blow up again? Who needs to see the Waynes die in Crime Alley again? Like nobody. Do
We
we
need to
really need
see
to
Barry
see Uncle
Bonds die.
Ben bite the big one again? No, that's why they skipped all that nonsense and made an Aunt May. But that was beside the point, right? It's like,
And I think Creature Commandos helps set the template for that. If you look at it, their origin points were flashbacks. That's how it should be done.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Establish
Establish characters.
establish important components of their origin. Don't show me their whole origin again.
Exactly. Now you're going to get origin stories or origin points for certain characters, like Engineer. You're going to get that. Hopefully, it's done in flashback. Ultraman slash maybe Bizarro, maybe whatever. You're going to get flashbacks. Fine. If you have a character that's so like C or D list that you don't know, maybe you need to go into that a little bit more. And
Hmm.
I think Metamorpho is going to be the only one that they're going to expand that on because
Yeah.
there's
Metamorpho, you're gonna have to do a little work on.
that scene where Superman's in the box and Nathan Fillion comes in. Guys, he's blasted. He's not blasting Superman. He's covering the window.
Yes.
Why? Because he's about to set Rex loose. So apparently, Rex's Metamorpho needs an origin point. I think because very few people truly know who Metamorpho is. I think his character is going to need the most exposition. I think Metamorpho is going to be one of the key links in this story.
Anytime they introduce a new character, you're probably going to need to do something new that's not
Exactly.
has not been established in any other form of medium other than the comics. Because
Right.
even with like you know John, we haven't really gotten an origin for John Stewart. You could do like him becoming part of the core in that TV show. That's the
Yes,
focal
good.
point, and then everything else just happens around him. But like, or if they wanted to introduce Kyle, since Kyle's never really had anything
A fair shake.
fair, yeah, he would have his new thing. But you can do it in a way that plays,
Truncate.
yeah, you can truncate it. You don't have to have it like, oh my God, Uncle Ben, you got shot because I didn't let I didn't stop the crook from stealing the money from the you
And
know
blah blah blah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Now with Kyle, if they ever introduce him, I want to see a little more story
oh, I
because
did too.
his character is very well written, and the stuff that Kyle goes through in his transition to becoming the great hero he is, and all the stuff that happens to him in the comic books, that needs a little fleshing out. Finding
Yeah,
his
but
girlfriend in the fridge,
they,
becoming
they won't do that. They won't do the girlfriend fridging. I guarantee you
they
that.
might.
No, because of
Come
the
on,
because
come
of no
on.
no no no
Freaking,
because
they
of
had
Gail
sex in freaking
because
Chris
of
Commandos.
Gail's no, it's not because of that. It's because of Gail Simone creating the girl for the fridging trope. They will avoid that at all cost. I would be shocked if they did the
Now,
girlfriend fridging of Kyle
they
because
could do it. They could pull it off.
no, I'm not saying they can't. I'm saying that in the overall like zeitgeist of fandom that we live in, fridging is a thing that has been called out.
Yeah,
It's something that people recognize now, right?
right.
And it's generally considered a negative trope to apply to a story. I'm not
Exactly.
saying that that means that they won't. I'm not saying that that means that they can't. I'm just saying I would be shocked personally if they actually had Major Force stuff Kyle's girlfriend into a fridge.
Well, thing is, they
Hey,
could do it. They could do it this way: death off camera, which is still a viable thing. And then when they show her in the fridge, head in the box from Seven
Yeah,
or
again,
or less.
I agree. Yeah, they could absolutely do that.
you
I
could.
I just
They
think
just
that
need. I
they
think they need to
won't.
have that. If Kyle
Well,
ever
you
gets
need some kind of impact for him, that
exactly,
like it
you
left.
need to give him
Yeah.
that thing.
But you could do that. I mean, come on. Fridging also goes back to the whole thing of like Indiana Jones and the Crystal
No,
Skull.
no,
Yeah,
no, no. No, no,
I
no,
I
no.
know
The trope
I
the
know I know.
trope
I'm
comes
just making it
that's how
up.
Gail Simone like became famous was her writing
Yeah.
this huge blog talking about how she had issues because that happened to all of Kyle's girlfriends, right? Like every single one of his girlfriends, Jade dies, right? Who else is there? Like a whole bunch. I'm surprised they haven't killed
now
Carol Ferris because
now
he hooked up with her in one of the last runs of the comics, which
now
was
Jade would
upsetting.
be a good one to introduce because that would technically
How are you going to introduce Jade? You need Alan Scott. You need to
see
establish
now
him.
there it is right there. Alan Scott. It's how you introduce Alan Scott.
I
If
don't think
you
they
add
do.
him because he's technically a Green Lantern, the question is
Yes.
how do you introduce him into this lore to make him fit the unit because eventually he can have the kids.
I would look.
Introducing Alan Scott.
I love Green Lantern. I love
I know
Alan.
that.
I love Jade, Obsidian. I would love to see his kids come into this. I they don't get that far. Unless they specifically go out of their way to go off and tell an Earth 2 story and focus explicitly on like the JSA, right? Not the one in Black Adam, but
Yeah.
unless they go and specifically focus on the JSA, I would be shocked to see. I would be shocked to see Alan, right? I'll be shocked if we get Kyle, right? I mean,
I know.
we're talking so early, right? They have the only one we've seen is Guy, right?
And we know Hal and John are
Yeah, we know Hal
Huh?
and John are going to be.
Again, the show
supposedly
is
killable.
not the show is not made, guys.
I
We
know,
got we got
but they're
some we got
cast.
some room. That doesn't, dude. They've cast people in the past,
I
and
know. You're
it did
right.
not
You're
go
right.
anywhere. So yeah, if they can get the Lantern show rolling and the Lantern show does well, and this whole like tent that the WB is building, right? It would be awesome to see. I would love to see them go and do stories with these characters, but
Roll the
that's
cap. Roll
also, huh?
WB.
Yeah, Warner Brothers, HBO, whatever. I don't give it. I don't, whatever.
Oh,
I'm
here
tired
you go.
now.
Hold on. I will add this though. The thing is, with the success of the Penguin, they have an idea of what would work for doing a show on Max. It's got to be a little bit more raw. It's got to be a little bit more. It doesn't have to be gritty. It just has
Yeah.
to be.
There is a bit of grit needed.
It has to be at least realistic and its interpretation of the story, so that way it's a little bit more believable for the audience. Because what you established in the Penguin was that you can tell these characters and make them real, believable villains or heroes. So
Right.
that's, I mean, I know that Gunn didn't really have much hand in that, but at least the people that are in charge of what's going on with some of that stuff could have a hand in influencing what goes forward with some of the TV shows that they do.
That's fair because Gunn himself admitted he went to Scott, what's his name there, Zack Snyder, for advice on something in Superman. He a couple weeks ago they released a story that he went back to Zack Snyder and said, "What do you think of this? What should I do here?" So
Um,
it wasn't my favorite article to read, but at least he's looking to explore options and try and provide the best product.
well, I don't like the fact that like I really don't like Zack Snyder's interpretation of any of the characters. Um, because it's like I'm sorry, whenever they have that whole moment where it's like Doomsday and the Kryptonite Spear and Superman's the only one that can do it, even though he would be completely powerless. It should have been Aquaman, who's not affected by kryptonite, that could have stabbed Doomsday for
Yeah,
this.
he's got the strength.
I, but I mean, just like, come on, just the believability does not work with some of the shit that goes in those movies.
I would never go to Zack Snyder for story points, right?
No,
I would go to Zack Snyder say hey, how would you frame this shot? How
And
would
do
you
the opposite.
how would you do this action scene, right?
right.
Without the slow-mo. Just how would you set up the shot? I would ask him for cinematography stuff because love him or hate him, he could shoot a movie,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He can get some pretty awesome shots. He can do some really nice like action set piece type stuff. He's good at that, right? Go ask him questions about cinematography. Do not ask him story questions.
Maybe that's what he was. He didn't really
Could
go into
be. It
details.
could
Yeah,
be. Yeah,
yeah,
I could see that. I mean, because like, you don't ever go to Michael Bay for story beats or anything good other than big explosions.
that's right.
Unless you want to go ask him about, The Island, or Island 2 if he was going to make a sequel to that movie. But I'm down for that. But I mean, he's even proven that he can't go back to movies that he was known for doing with the last or the last he's already done what, two sequels to Bad Boys?
Something
Four
like that.
Yeah, yeah. So
was
it's
the
like,
last,
I mean,
and I think Martin Smith and Will Smith's kids are getting married. I think it is, but that's a whole different thing.
Martin Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence.
What,
But
whoever, man,
hey, well,
just
they will be a Martin Smith.
Man,
giant
you are all
amalgamation
over
of
the place with
can't
names.
stand it.
It'll be Martin Smith. I mean, they're related.
You know what? I don't care.
Is that
I'm
wait,
not a fan of either one of them at the moment. Don't care.
is that how Will
Think I'm a
Smith
big old
comes
fudge
out?
ball.
Will Smith comes out of the closet by marrying Martin Lawrence? Is that what happens?
Hey, maybe. It's Hollywood, man. If it ain't on fire, it's getting married. I don't care.
They're gonna have a bromance, okay? They don't have to
They
be.
already have a
They don't have to be, like an item, and they can be bros, and they're close. That's it. But
They're so close they take each other's last names.
right, right, right.
Will Lawrence and Matt and oh my God, you got me messed up now. And Martin Smith. Matt Will Lawrence and
They
Martin
they
Smith.
wanted they
There we
wanted to
go.
do it. They want to do a complete do-over with the universe of Hollywood, right? So it's like, all right,
That's
We're gonna
right.
we're gonna
rearrange
introduce stuff as new actors.
who smacked Chris Rock, Martin Smith or Will Lawrence.
There you go.
Man.
This the pseudo slap.
But I don't know. There's a lot of good things that could be coming out of this. I mean, if anything, to go for the level of quality for Creature Commandos, as far as the animation style, the story, the characters, at least as far as the two episodes I've watched, and I've heard really good reviews from people, like even Dad enjoyed it a lot. Um, I have high hopes, but I know he's not officially pinning everything, but he's the creative influencer for for all of this whole.
He's overseeing everything so far.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. One consistent face in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So at least you're going to have consistency early on. When it starts getting bigger than him, he's probably going to rely on somebody else. But for now, there should be a level of consistency, and that I'm excited for. Okay. I will admit the Superman trailer, I loved it. Okay. My favorite part of it was Crypto because it just
Take me home, boy. Yeah.
I mean, none of that dialogue, just the look.
I
Okay.
understand.
I am truly a dog fan. And I saw that dog. I'm like, I want that dog. Fake dog, full AI, but I want that dog because it just looked like the dog you want to just go fluffy, you know.
Go get me a senzu bean. Go talk to Corin. He'll help me back.
Exactly. Ah,
Um,
we
yeah,
need
but
Fluffy.
I don't know. I was not too impressed with it just because it was like flashes of just stuff. There was
This
no
big old
cohesion.
sizzle reel.
Right. And I'm like, I need more substance. It's like, here you go. Here's the menu of all the things that you could get in this film. But it's like, can I try some of it? You got like your desserts here with your steaks and your mashed potatoes in your appetizers. I'm like, come on, guys, what else is going on here? I need to know more. Um, yes, I'm hoping that we're gonna get a more honest, true Clark Kent Superman character. You know, not this. I'm gonna completely avoid my responsibilities of being a hero because I decided that I was not fast enough to stop my dad from walking out to save these people in a tornado just because he told me not to. Just because Kevin Costner was paid to be in the movie for a small amount of time, and he's like, I didn't get paid to be in the sequel, so you need to kill me off now, kind of itis or whatever. But um,
Let me ask you this: what'd you think of the Lego version? Did you see it?
hmm,
You didn't see the Lego version of the Superman trailer?
no, I didn't get to see
That's
that.
great. I think that if they want to do,
A
you
Lego
know,
game, I'm down.
Elseworld, no, if they want to do Elseworld stuff, they have to include a Lego version because the Lego version for me is one to one. It's 1-to-1 shot, and it's fantastic. I mean, whoever put that together deserves a raise because I absolutely adored that. When I was like, yeah, okay, that's great. I could actually watch that movie like that.
So, what are the other films and TV series besides Brave and the Bold, the Green Lantern, Superman, and then
There's
Talking about DC wise?
yeah, DC
Themyscira's
was.
coming.
Yeah,
They've
the
announced the
Themyscira
Clayface.
one, Supergirl, Swamp Thing,
Okay, that's something
the
we can talk about.
Authority.
Supergirl, Girl of Tomorrow or Woman of Tomorrow.
Hmm.
And then they talked about Clayface coming, but the big announcement for me right before the end of the year, since we're talking about year in review stuff, was Jason Momoa being classed as Lobo.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty awesome. That was the
I
guy
think
that
that's
like
a great fit.
he's the perfect fit. I mean,
I
honestly.
mean, he was a decent Aquaman, but in the larger scale, it wasn't perfect. Him being
No.
Lobo, I think that's perfect
For
casting.
his personality in real life and some of the characters he's portrayed on other films, that fits him better
As
than
Lobo.
Arthur
Yes.
because they needed somebody else. I understand. I don't know. You could have got any other actor to play Arthur than
I think Justin Hartley as Aquaman was a great option back in the early CW days.
mhm.
I think that needed exploring. I think that would have worked. Jason Momoa as Aquaman was okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it added life to the character. It made Aquaman likable again, which was probably the half the goal. And if they'd given him a Krypton spear on the Trident, to that he could have gone after Doomsday.
Yeah, well, he
Uh,
should have been the. That was the whole thing. It's like, oh, the thing is in water. It's like this is going to be the moment where he's going to show up and save the day. No, not at all. And then on top of that, he made every character have dad issues.
Yeah, that's very true.
I'm like,
Hey,
really?
almost everybody, almost the whole Martha thing. But look on. We'll move on from that.
Hey,
Now,
wait. Wonder Woman doesn't have dad issues.
Yeah, she does. She doesn't have a dad.
Yeah, so she doesn't have any issues.
No, that's the thing. She doesn't have a dad, so she has a
She
dad
don't she
issue.
don't need she don't need
She's
no
missing a
dad.
dad.
She doesn't need a dad. She got an awesome mom and sisters and all that.
yeah.
No issues.
No,
Come on now, man. We're in the year of our Lord 2025.
I mean, she can call Clark or Bruce daddy. I'm sorry. Their joke went there.
no. Moving on. We're no. My brain is really ready to go down that road. No. Lobo. Lobo is a great choice.
Yes.
Yes.
I think he is absolutely going to crush it at that, and I think it's going to take his career to the next level.
And I think that he would be a good. I don't know the actor that's playing Superman. I really haven't watched anything he's been in, and because we haven't gotten enough to see him act other than just like visuals of him being Clark and Superman. We can tell if he's going to be a good match for Lobo. Because you got to have that charisma sometimes with another actor to.
Thing is, I think it's going to be a while before Superman and Lobo meet.
Oh, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
I'm literally thinking that they're going to prove the actress to play Supergirl. They're going to show her worth by having her go against Lobo,
Mm-hmm.
which it's not a bad plan. I think it's going to be one of those build-up things.
Yeah.
Miley Alcock or whatever her name is. Miley. We really got to get these names down, guys.
Hey,
You're the one who's been butchering them this whole time, man.
I've only butchered.
That's my
one.
job.
I forgot one guy's name of Michael Rosenbaum, and I butchered the other dude who's going to be playing Jon Stewart. But I at least got his last name right. But I mean, oh, did you see that? What was it? Is it Nicolas Cage is going to be Jor-El?
I saw that. I thought that was.
I thought it was a joke, but I mean, like, come on, is it really going to be? Oh, I don't know.
I thought that was an AI thing, somebody just goofing around. But honestly,
I hadn't heard anything about that. But
no, you look it up. It showed up just a couple days ago. They have him superimposed over Marlon Brando's Jor-El suit. Sort of. It doesn't look bad. It just, if they did it, it would be an interesting take. But
So
I don't know. I think that Marvel is trying to secure him for a Ghost Rider return because Deadpool couldn't get him in.
well, with the Swamp Thing, we could hint at least with Constantine. I know that they're supposed to be doing Constantine 2, or at least it's rumored.
They've been talking
But
about
I don't know if that's going to be.
Supposedly there's a script.
Yeah, but I know he won't be the official Constantine for. We know we want Matt Ryan to be.
Everybody wants Matt Ryan, but
Yeah.
if Keanu Reeves comes back, it could be an Elseworld story. I'm curious as to see who they're going to get because the whole first phase of the DCU is going to be creatures and monsters and gods and heroes, whatever. Yeah, Constantine's going to have to figure in there somewhere.
Well, it would be cool if they were like it was it was like multi-universe, so it's like both Matt Ryan and Keanu show up, and it's like, what are you doing here, bloke? Whatever, and they're talking back and forth, and them having to go up against something.
It would be interesting, but I don't know. I like Keanu Reeves as Constantine,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always said that Constantine movie is a great movie. If you took out the name John everywhere in it and gave the character a different name, the movie would actually move up a grade. Because the movie on its own is a great movie, and I enjoyed it as a Constantine movie, but I don't know, there was something always missing. And for 2-3 years, they've been saying a script is coming, and supposedly they're ready to they're trying to find a home for it and all this stuff, and I don't honestly know. Keanu Reeves has said he's getting too old for the action movies. He can't do. He's even gone out and said he can't do another John Wick movie. He's just not physically able to handle it anymore. So being a Constantine movie might require some physical action, and I don't think he wants to go that route anymore. Matt Ryan, on the other hand,
He's
could.
still young enough to do that, so
Yeah.
uh,
All they got to do is port that stuff over that he's done the voice for and he's done the physical acting for, and start it fresh. It's like a peacemaker thing, a peacekeeper or whatever. Which one is it? John Cena? You don't see him. He's actually got the helmet on.
yeah, it's Peacemaker.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. It's just for him, it's just a silver helmet with a no body underneath it. What can you do? You don't see it. So, but I think that they could. Yeah, there you go. Just, but I don't know. Whoever they come up with for Constantine, I will sit and I will watch it because I'm a Constantine fan. I might pick it apart, but I'll still watch it.
Well, at least with the fact that like Swamp Thing showing up would be the first of like
Yes.
dark magic and magic in this new universe.
Oh man, if it can be a bigger budget version of the TV show that they did, I would be stoked. Because
Absolutely.
that TV show was so good. I was so sad that it only lasted. Basically, technically
It
only
was
lasted like
technically
half
one
a season because they
half
killed it halfway into it. But man,
and
that's like the body horror of that show. The all the introduction of all the secondary like magical characters like
all
Madame
the
Xanadu.
artifacts.
Yes, like all that stuff, man. Oh, that show is so
That's the
good, and
one thing I gotta say. The one reason I followed the oh my god, I can't think of the name of the show. The one where they were all on the ship and oh my god, with Adam and Black Canary and
oh my God.
see
Um,
see
something of tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I followed that as long as I did was because they brought Matt Ryan in as Constantine, and he
Yeah.
was finishing. They said we are going to finish what the TV show couldn't do, and they took all the legend, all the lore from it, and they fleshed the story out. They finished it, and they carried him over, and they brought it to an end. And they said, okay, Matt still wants to be around. He's still going to do this. We're going to have him be this character now. The only reason I watched Legends of Tomorrow was because of that whole Constantine arc beyond the first 2 or 3 seasons.
Mhm.
Because that absolutely was a satisfying conclusion for me that the TV show started. So I have every one of those episodes. I have all of the Constantine TV shows, all the Matt Ryan stuff. I have it all archived together because it starts this story, it goes through, gives it a nice, big, okay, focus of the story for a while, and it concludes it, and they said, okay, we're done with it. And I thought that was fantastic. I mean, and you can even lump in the stuff that he did with the 52 verse type of thing as all part of that because technically it can all be blended.
Yeah.
So where do they come up? If they decide they wanted to go with Matt Ryan again, I wouldn't oppose it.
I wouldn't
If
either.
somebody new, it needs to be an unknown.
Let me see. Yeah, Batman Part 2, Lantern TV series, Raven the Bold, The Authority.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right, because the engineer was the start of that.
Uh,
And they announced it in the early trailer.
there's a Teen
Man.
Titans movie, which sucks though because you're gonna get Robin there, but you're not gonna get him with Batman.
Right. It's supposed to be an earlier story when it fits in the timeline because supposedly it's going to be Judas Contract that they're doing,
Okay, which yeah,
where Robin becomes Nightwing.
That's
So-
a wild thing to open up with, but okay.
Because they're
Yeah.
literally talking about Terminator, Deathstroke being the main villain for that because they're going to make his character because
I mean,
he's
you-
supposed to be paired with
Bane in one of
Bane
the movies.
in,
Yeah,
in a movie.
yeah,
I still don't know how I feel about that.
yeah.
I
That's,
don't
I
either.
mean, as long as we get like a true to form Bane, not hello, I'm Sean Connery with a mask on my face, Batman. I'm
So
good.
okay, take the voice away from him.
Hang on,
If you
hang on,
if
hang
you
on.
if you give Tom Hardy a proper voice, that was actually a pretty decent version of Bane, right? He
And you
he
got to
was
have a
smart.
mask like this to be
He
able to
was
do the Bane voice properly.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like, if you take away the stupid voice, right? He was cunning. He was conniving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He set traps. He like the portrayal of Bane, like how he behaved and what he did, was a great Bane. The
yes.
voice undermined so much of
Yeah,
what
I
was
mean,
otherwise a really good character.
I agree with that 100% because the fact that we knew it was like South America where he was born into the prison system. So you should have had, I mean, Tom Hardy did a great job. I'm not going to dispense the guy, but you should have gotten at least a voiceover guy. I don't know, like George Lopez or Fluffy or somebody, you
Dude,
know.
that would have been so weird seeing. I mean, you wouldn't have seen it, right, because of the mask, but just knowing in my mind that that's Tom Hardy, but then hearing like Antonio Banderas' voice come out of him would have been the most awkward and off-putting thing ever. Just sitting there
So,
watching it, being like,
hello, Batman.
all right then."
It'd be like,
I am your sorrow. I have come for your blood.
Yes.
The caballeros are
I've
screaming
come
for
to break the bat. I mean,
Yeah, but
but
yeah,
I mean,
the alcalde
you'd have
and
to,
let
so
this intrude.
you'd have to introduce him having Venom though too, right? I mean, because you need him to be able,
yes,
you know.
exactly.
Then that was the other thing. They took it away from the
yeah.
those movies, and I like I understand Christopher Nolan didn't want to do the super fantastical, but you couldn't have some kind of super roids that like was being dumped into this guy that like
I mean,
I
what
mean,
they
there's,
claim that it was painkillers, right? That's what it was. That he was in perpetual pain
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
the injuries to his back, and so the mask was like feeding him painkillers constantly. I think that was like vaguely described at one point or another. So I mean,
I mean, yeah, you could have,
it was like a squint really hard, and it's
And
kind of
you'll miss
there,
it.
but
You'll
no,
miss it. Yeah.
yeah,
and
yeah, I get it.
I agree with that. They could have easily on top, because they're coming up with all these designer drugs and stuff like that to make you feel impervious and you're on heroin, you're on crack or cocaine or whatever. Sometimes you feel like you're impervious. And they're always, like I said,
But it doesn't make you
designer
stronger
drugs,
Oh,
though.
Dewey.
they could have easily have done something where they hyped it up and jacked it up enough to where
Right.
add painkillers to whatever this is that
Oh,
your
Dewey, you
body
don't want
literally
none of
goes
this,
into adrenaline.
Dewey. What is it? It's PCP.
See, there
Now,
you
because
go.
but that's the thing. It's like it doesn't just because you have painkillers doesn't make you stronger. You're gonna rip your muscles and stuff the time you try to rip off a door because you're pulling all your strength in because you don't feel it. I mean, it's gonna be like Ghost in the Shell whenever Motoko's on top of the tank ripping off the hatch for the door.
I mean, they didn't really show him doing anything wild with his strength, right? He was just a big, imposing dude.
Right.
So,
I mean, they could have done something where at least, the roids gave him that extra adrenaline thing because we've all heard the stories. I mean, it's
if
possible when
if
somebody
it
is fight or flight, saving their kids, flipping cars over to save things like that.
if it
It's
stopped
humanly
him
possible.
if it stopped him from getting run over by Catwoman, I would have been for it.
Fair.
Because like Christopher Nolan does not know how to shoot action shots, like fight scenes, right? Like we as good as those movies are, those fight scenes in those movies are
I don't know.
brutal
I
to
had a
watch.
hard time getting through the third Batman movie. After Dark Knight, the third one, I realized that I had never watched it. So I sat back and I watched it and I did it little bits at a time so they wouldn't completely ruin the franchise.
Uh-huh.
But it just I don't know, man. After Dark Knight, it was tough time accepting anything like that.
It was that movie was so wild and just crazy. Like he just like gives up being Batman because like he failed because Harvey Dent died and all this other stuff and it's like that's not Bruce Wayne.
No,
Bruce Wayne to his dying day would still be like even if he was crippled, he would build a suit to fight crime still. I mean because that was his motivation to and his promise to his parents that he would continue to do this stuff. Um, I mean, we wouldn't have had Batman Beyond had like he just, oh well, the Joker killed Jason Todd, and I'm gonna not
Well,
Jason Todd, no, it would have been Tim
Tim.
Drake, Tim, yeah, from the animated series, and like I'm just gonna be done with it, right? No, I'm there's no more Batman. I'm done with this. That wouldn't have happened. I mean, you write these things that don't fit the character. It's like you have guys that are doing things that don't understand like the fundamentals of what makes this character tick. And that's why sometimes these movies just break down. They don't
Right.
because and then they don't work for the audience because the audience has spent decades reading these comics, experiencing the cartoons, and then when they see something that doesn't fit right, they're like, red flag. It took me out of the immersion. This movie sucks. I mean, that's for me with Star Wars. Star Wars, freaking with the
But
Last
really,
Jedi and
they fucked it
and
up.
and Rise of Skywalker, totally bad films because they didn't understand the characters. They didn't even understand the universe. They didn't understand where they were going. There was no Bible. But I'm not going to get into a rant. I'm just this
No,
is
get into a rant.
a fundamental problem with like when you take a story that has an established lore and you make another story for it or a film or show or whatever and it doesn't fit right because you didn't understand what it takes to make this character the adventure that needs to be, how they would react to the adventure, and so on. That's why like Dial of Destiny is a piece of crap. I will never watch that movie because of the fact that they ruined Indy. They could have had a better story. They just like, oh my son died, and so I'm just going to be this, I might have a bad marriage, and it's
That was the one thing that they should have given him that measure of grace.
right.
Him
It,
and Marion should have been happy together, dealing with their loss together, and then
yes,
drawn into this whole situation. Okay, I'm done. I'm happily married. Yes, we lost our son to the war. That's what happens. He's so seasoned, he understands it. And she just happened to have Indy. And all of a sudden, he gets drawn into this thing one last time and be the end of it. I thought that should have been the way to go with it.
there's times where there's stories where a family loses one child but end up having another child, and they could have done that, like had another child
Mm,
in that 20-year gap.
maybe.
And you could have passed the torch off to it because that was the thing. No one liked Shia LaBeouf as, I mean, I was okay with him, but I mean, he wasn't great. He shouldn't have been the person that the torch would have been passed to.
No,
So,
I
like,
should have been a girl, honestly.
well, it could have
So
been.
Look, he
I
will not
honestly
divide
think
us, okay?
Huh?
But sorry, but they sucked it up once again.
I said, look, he will not divide us, okay? He will not divide us.
And, well, and it's sad that a video game
it's better.
is
Oh,
better representation for this character and a good send off for him. Well, it doesn't technically not even send off. It takes place between Raiders and the Last Crusade, but it's true to form. It feels like you're watching an Indiana Jones, and it's like how can a game studio get it so right, but a film company can't at all? And that's the problem with like most of these things. They're so out of touch with what the magic was for this stuff, and it's bad enough that like Lucas and Spielberg had no ties to that film,
and it
and,
showed.
and it showed.
It
It needed the core foundation for it to work. And then at that point, it becomes a paycheck for the actors. I
Yeah.
guarantee you that Harrison Ford didn't want to do that part. But hey, you're going to pay me 100 million or whatever his sign off bonus was for that movie.
I mean,
Sure, I'll do it.
you know what I think? Harrison
Hell yeah.
Ford said he would do it again unless the script was right. I think they pitched him a script that really sounded good, and then they changed it after he was brought on. Because it's Harrison Ford. He's 80 years old. He's not going to go. He's going to do what? What? You
Yeah.
know, I think that they pitched him the most basic plot to be able to get him on board. Yes, okay, some stuff happens. He gets brought back into it. He travels in time. okay, you know what? That's an Indiana Jones story. I'll go with it. But then he gets the script and he's like, oh, what the fuck? You know,
Yeah,
sorry, but
he's
read
already
that.
into it. Yeah.
You know, he's already committed.
Um,
If now I have yet to see gameplay of the game. Okay, who does the voice for Indiana? Is it
Troy Baker.
so you know Troy Baker's a good candidate. If they got Harrison Ford to do some voiceover stuff because he's still capable of doing that,
Mhm.
just bank it away for future stuff. I'd follow the games. You guys
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, exactly. You could
That's
do that.
timeless.
Um, I gotta remember. There's like the Thing game, even though it was really good for what it was. I mean, it kind of continued the story. Um, as far as Carpenter's concerned, it is the official sequel to the original movie. I love it, but like you can do that with like anything. Like if you have a franchise that your actors are so old that they can't like act anymore, like give me a Big Trouble a Little China 2 or whatever with Jack Burton and well Kurt Russell and Victor Wong, but them doing the voices. You don't, I mean, James Hong's still around for right now, so you could technically bring back David Lopan. I mean, you could do that for any of this stuff, but you're missing the window for the opportunity to be able to do it with them because they're going to be gone in a couple of years. You know, James Hong's like in his 90s.
Yeah, and he finally last year in review stuff, he finally got his star in the Walk of Fame.
And
What the hell?
yeah, well,
What the hell? Took him that long to get one.
the the biggest problem with all this too is like, you know, for us having an opinion about like how bad things are, we're alienated or we're treated a certain way, but it's like we're passionate about this stuff.
Right.
This stuff is like it is our like the legacy heroes or not legacy, but like legends, tall tales, the things for our culture, that these characters are like what Paul Bunyan was for, our great grandparents or something, like these tall tales. Um And we're just missing opportunities for telling these great stories with these great characters. You know, you people like us, like growing up, we loved and we wanted to like maybe it would be an honor to be able to write a storyline for this character that would be able to be passed on to be a part of the lexicon or what's the legacy of the product. Like being able to write a story for Batman that is loved and cherished would be an awesome like achievement. But it seems like a lot of people get into these roles and are these positions to write these things or do certain stories, whether it be video games, movies, comics, or whatever, and they want to go and like we're gonna deconstruct the hero. We're gonna completely shake the foundation of what you know, just so that way we can leave our mark. And it's like that's not how you're supposed to do things. Just write a story that is compelling enough that you can shake the foundation, but it works within the playground or the sandbox that's already been pre-established. Um,
Well, they all just read too much Alan Moore and Frank Miller, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna do like this cool, dark,
Grant Morrison,
edgy.
man, get it right. It's Grant Morrison.
Oh yeah, and Grant Morrison. Yeah,
Travis
it's all of them,
Fireman.
right? It's like it's that era which told a lot of great stories, but it really engendered. Oh, and what's his name? The boys.
Oh,
Garth Ennis.
yeah,
Dennis.
Venus, yeah.
It's like that whole era, right? Coming up through the 90s, it's like a lot of great stories and cool things came out of it. But at the same time, it's like that seemed to build into a lot of people where it's like, oh, okay, if I want to tell a grown up or adult, superhero story, then we have to do this deconstructionist, all heroes are secretly dark, brooding a-holes that,
Yeah.
actually have like murder fetishes and all sorts of other crazy nonsense. It's like, that works for like Punisher, but
Yes.
not Superman.
No, yeah, exactly.
Or if you're gonna do the Superman bit, like it's been done. I hate to tell you guys,
Injustice, yeah.
evil Superman's been done to death. It's we've seen a million versions of it, and some are really good, and some are kind of cringe. So like, hey, let's try and Let's
Look, if
and
it,
that's the funny thing about, and it's part of the reason why, for all the reservations that I have, I want Gunn's movie to succeed because it is like his whole thing about it going into it was supposed to be the hopeful Superman, right? And it's like, yeah, I would love to see us bring hope back to Superman because I would love to see hopeful superheroes again. That's part of the reason why I haven't, like, as fun as The Boys is, I haven't watched the last two seasons of that show because I'm kind of worn out
Yeah.
on these ultra dark, gritty, all my superheroes are a-holes. I can deal with the Penguin because the Penguin's not a hero,
no,
right?
he's a villain.
But when it comes to the superhero side of it, and it's like I want to watch Invincible because Invincible kind of toes that line between, the really dark, edgy stuff, but at the same time, oh, it's really bright and light and all this stuff, right? It's that weird blend of them, but it's like I have a hard time watching that a little bit because, man, I just kind of want to go back to some cool, hopeful heroes again without all
Yeah.
the, like,
If I
gore and
want dark and
viscera.
edgy, I'll go back and rewatch Preacher.
So the one thing though too is that I think we forget is that, like, throughout the ages, we used this medium to escape like just shit that's going on, like wars and whatever. We had these superheroes that were like that we wish that we could be like in our real life, or we wish could be in our world to help stop the injustice. And I'd be afraid of like any of the superheroes that are being written today that are angsty and brooding or just to be around, because like, oh, we don't want these heroes anymore. We don't want to tell stories to get our mind off of the stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And we wonder why, like, people are having depression or other mental issues because the things that we use to escape to help us deal with the day-to-day life isn't there anymore. Um, and it sucks.
Yeah. And that's a good place to end it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so I would say that I think this was a good discussion. I'm glad that we got to review Penguin. I'll have Dad on as soon as we can when he's ready, so he can give his take on it. We can talk about it with him a little bit more in depth. But yeah, looking forward to what's going on with the James Gunn's DC universe. Hoping everything's going to go well. And I agree with David. I think that it's good to see superheroes like we read in the comics getting a chance to be on the limelight instead of having these things that are going to be constant reminder of like the problems we're already dealing with. And but
We need our escapism.
yeah, we need our escapism. It's a very, very important. And it's also one of the things too is like if you have good stories, it influences the next generation to tell new good stories as well. If not, we're just going to go down the rabbit hole of retelling old stories with different twists over and over again until we've lost what we were to begin with that made us have the dream to continue to move forward in the first place. But yeah, I guess for the end of this episode, let me know in the comments down below what James Gunn movie you're looking forward to the most. Is it Superman? Is it the Green Lantern TV show? If that happens, I know David has his reservations on that, or any of the stuff that's listed that's out there for you to look up. Let me know which one you're looking forward to. Yeah, guys, thank you for being on. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you next episode.
Just as